Chapter 4 End of an Era. Once the AI uplink relay was installed, the Stellaris became a much quieter starship. Not because the engines were running smoothly, but because very few people were left aboard. The flagship was now almost totally automated, with the organic crew being supplanted by an army of droids and robots.
Just think about it, Callie said. A month ago, the ship would have needed a crew of almost 20,000 people just to exist without falling apart. Now we've got the crew complement down to 50. I can walk 10 kilometers through the interior and never find another person, Dak replied. The young couple raised their eyebrows at each other, realizing that from now on, they could be alone together whenever they felt like it. Dak did a double take when he saw the suggestive expression on Callie's face. Get your mind out of the gutter, Ensign, he admonished her. You're on duty. Callie smiled a mischievous smile, and Dak could not resist the urge to make the same face. 3 weeks had gone by since Callie and Dak joined the Stellaris. Teak and Ruto were the only people the pair saw on regular occasions, and when they did, there were only two major topics of discussion: the political crisis on Ix and total automation. The rise of Galactic Empress Kentrep was causing widespread political unrest. Over the past few weeks, a dozen vassal states had announced their intentions to leave the Empire. What started as public outcry for democracy was quickly growing into a nascent separatist movement. In response, the Imperial military was making preparations for a show of force. The Empress had even sent a messenger to the Stellaris, warning the crew that soon the vessel would be called into active service. Callie and Ruto would need to finish their upgrades quickly. Speaking of which, after less than a month of work, the Stellaris had reached a state of near total automation. Using the AI uplink installed in engineering, Callie and Ruto were able to let the shipboard AI take full control of the day-to-day maintenance of the Stellaris. The Dreadnought had even gotten to the point where it could manufacture its own ammunition and repair itself after a fight. To sustain all of this, approximately 6,000 droids and robots were manufactured and deployed within the ship. Callie came up with a brilliant idea to enable easy communication between the organic and robotic crew. She created an AI personality whose sole purpose was to serve as a go-between for the organics and droids. Simply named Helperbot, this AI would instantly supersede and take control of any droid the organic crew attempted to speak with. Callie and Ruto had a lot of fun testing the concept. She used the internal monorail to travel all the way to the bow, while Ruto went to the engine room. From bow to stern, the Stellaris measured almost 90 kilometers. Once she reached the bow, Callie picked a random droid and said hello to it. At once, the bipedal robot rounded on her, and a yellow light illuminated its face, to show that Helperbot had taken over. "Hello there," Helperbot declared. "I'm as pleased as ever to report the sensor array is performing at 99.98% capacity this morning." Ruto's voice sounded over the intercom. "Callie, is there a reason you made Helperbot so cheerful?" Ruto asked. "I heard Teak complaining about the AI's disposition being too sunny and cheerful, so I just had to mess with it by tuning up the settings," Callie replied. "Ask Helperbot a question where you are." 90 kilometers away, in the engine room, Ruto said, "Helperbot, tell me about our docking schedule. When is the next time someone's coming aboard?" Without a moment's delay, a droid in the engine room turned to reply, "The new commanding officer and his second-in-command will be boarding later today at Docking Bay 94. I hope all of your preparations are complete." 42 people came to the docking bay to welcome the new CO. This was all that remained of a crew of 20,000. Thanks to automation, everyone else was transferred to other ships. A shuttlecraft landed in the hangar, and the crew raised their arms in salute as two men emerged. The first was a Fevarian man dressed in an officer's uniform. Callie could see the Commodore insignia on his chest and knew that this man was the new CO. Callie also noticed something strange about this man. Despite being a member of the Fevarian species, this new CO was wearing the uniform of the Alari Armed Forces. The blue and green Alari flag was displayed prominently on his chest. Next to him was an actual Alari. This really was no surprise to most of the crew. The Stellaris was an Alari ship, and most of the interfaces were designed for humanoids, such as Alari. For one particular member of the crew, however, the second officer did come as a surprise. Callie gasped and very nearly broke her salute. The Alari captain was the same officer who was with her mother at Runa Starbase, the one Callie had mistaken for an admiral. The captain was pushing a wheel cart loaded with a large black box. The Alari officer stepped aside from his cargo to join his Fevarian companion. And to make matters worse, now that he was closer, Callie realized, with a sense of growing terror, that she had seen this man before. While Callie was busy concealing her terror and trying to maintain her salute, the Commodore positioned himself in front of the crew and began to speak. "Crew, stand at ease," said the Fevarian Commodore. "This may be a military ship, but as long as we speak to one another with respect and courtesy, I'm going to allow a less than formal environment. Relax a little." The crew lowered their salutes and listened to the Commodore's introduction. "My name is Okepi Insteb," said the Commodore. "By order of the Alari National Congress, and with the express permission of Galactic Empress Kentrip, I assume command of this vessel. For those of you who have not met me yet, I served in 3 military campaigns, against the enigmatic fortress, the spectral wraith, and the ether drake. I recognize one of you from the battle against the drake." He nodded at Dak. After that, the Alari officer stepped forward to introduce himself. As soon as he began to speak, Callie's worst fears were finally confirmed. "It's a pleasure to meet you all," he said. "I am Captain Van Beeren. I will be serving as the Commodore's number 2. I look forward to meeting each and every member of the crew, especially the one particular crew member I've met before. Ensign Dakara, you look resplendent." Callie could not help it. She recoiled, taking a whole step away from the captain. Van looked slightly upset. It really was him, the repulsive man her parents tried to force Callie to marry 3 years ago. Van Beeren in the flesh. "I know we got off on the wrong foot, you and I," Van Beeren said. "I look forward to mending our relationship, Ensign Dakara. I am confident that my companionship will change your mind about me in due course." Callie opened her mouth, ready to spew a tirade of insults and vitriol. But Commodore Insteb was clearly paying attention and realized there was going to be a problem. "Not now," he cut in. "We have work to do. Dakara Betorak, have you completed your work on the automation?" Yes, sir," Ruto said quickly. "The Stellaris can run with a minimal crew." "Good," Commodore Insteb said. "I would like yourself, Ensign Dakara, Commander Jabasim, and Lieutenant Commander Yapana to join me in the conference room at the end of the hangar. All other crew members, please follow the instructions of this droid." Callie, Ruto, Teak, and Dak broke off from the group to follow Okepi and Van away from the scene. In the conference room, Callie tried to find a corner as far away from Van as possible. Dak intentionally placed himself between the pair, glaring at Van. Pacing back and forth, Okepi started talking as soon as everyone was in the room. "The situation is critical, and we are short on time," he began. "I am going to be blunt. Beeren and I do not work for the Empire. We are both members of the Special Operations Forces of the Alari military. If you are in this room right now, it means you are being drafted for a black op. You don't get a say in this. We are commandeering this ship, and you are coming with us. That's final. This was too much to take in all at once. Callie looked from the Favarian Commodore to her hated ex-betrothed, wondering just how either of them had managed to not only join the Alari armed forces, but also become members of the elite SOF. Come to think, she had never once asked Van about his background. Meanwhile, Teak was asking the important questions. Why the hell would Alaria try to steal a dreadnought from our overlord? Wasn't this thing a gift to Emperor Tukethu? Those considerations are immaterial considering what's going to happen soon, Van Beeren replied. Have any of you been paying attention to the political situation? The Holy Favarian Empire is going to collapse, probably within the next few days, certainly before the week is out. A stunned silence hung over the room. Ruto finally managed to say something. That's such a horrible thing to say, she choked out. You could be shot as a traitor just for saying that. Commander Batorak, I don't think the seriousness of the situation is sinking in yet, Okebi said. A few short days from now, the Galactic Emperor's authority will stretch no farther than this very star system. The Alari National Congress is already drafting a Declaration of Independence, and many other species are doing the same. We have only a few days left before chaos breaks out. This is the calm before the storm, and we do not want to be here when it starts. Callie snapped out of her stupor. Wait a minute, what storm? What do you mean get out of here? She asked. Alari SOF has received intel suggesting the breakup of the Holy Favarian Empire will be violent, Van explained. Dozens of separatist movements have established communications with each other and are already planning to make their moves. We are currently expecting to see somewhere between 20 and 30 armed revolts across the galaxy. This will be the first full-scale war since the formation of the Empire 1,000 years ago. No one is ready for such a conflict, Okebi added. The first few days are going to be chaos, and that's when we need to complete our mission. This mission you're planning to drag us into, Teak said. What if the four of us got to do with your mission? What happened to the rest of the crew? The rest of the crew is being put off the ship, Okebi answered. They will be left behind on Runa Starbase. Left behind? Dak said. We're taking the ship somewhere? Correct, Van said. Okebi and I have a multifaceted mission. There are several objectives we must accomplish, and we've orchestrated things so that we can kill several Tiyanki with one missile. In fact, thanks to Callie and Ruto's work on the automation systems, one such objective is being achieved right now. Van gestured around himself. The automated dreadnought Stellaris is the rightful property of the Alari National Congress, he declared. And on the ANC's authority, and with the ANC's express permission, we have now repossessed this vessel, and will return it to Alari space. Ruto screamed. You're stealing it! Ruto cried out. You're stealing the Galactic Empress's flagship! You won't get away with this! Ruto ran out of the room and back into the hangar. Help her, bot! Okebi yelled. Detain Commander Batorak and lock her in the brig! Callie, Dak, and Teak ran out of the conference room and back into the hangar just in time to see two incredible things. First, a dozen droids ran full tilt across the hangar bay and dive-tackled Ruto to the floor as she tried to flee. Second, Runa Starbase was very far away. The Stellaris had undocked from the shipyard and was now flying under her own power. The automated dreadnought was departing the Throne World system at best possible speed, leaving behind a scene of chaos. The planet Ikes was still visible. Callie, Dak, and Teak looked out of the hangar bay doors to see an armada of warships closing in on Runa starbase. As they drew near, the warships opened fire, pummeling the starbase with weapon strikes. Meanwhile, a cruiser broke off from the formation and started launching a barrage of missiles at the throne world itself.